And Bill is working, Ashley runs the CSA here, the vegetable CSA, and Bill is doing a very cool initiative with seed saving. So he'll talk a little bit about those things.
Hi everyone.
Hi, Bill.
Hi, Bill.
Hi. So I'm farming down the street in Westport on 4 acres growing for Boston restaurants. And the restaurants that I'm working with are chefs who I appreciate from an artistic perspective, but chefs who understand the ideology behind what I'm doing. So they signed on board this year to say, basically whatever you grow will grow. So they're crafting their menu as locally and seasonally as possible because they're dependent on whatever I'm growing from other farms. And I told them it's a catalyst for me to start a seed saving operation around here because I was turned on several years ago to the state of the seed that a lot of our fellow farmers don't even consider when we're growing food. We just assume we can go through our seed catalogs in the wintertime and pick what we want and grow it, and this is what's best for the market, and this is what grows well and what doesn't. And the reality behind the state of our seed for me was kind of like this in the Matrix where you have a choice to take. I don't know which pill is which, but you take one and you can't look back, and that's kind of where I found myself with the state of the seed. So the idea behind the farm this year is to start regionally adapting seed, which basically just means growing it around here for a couple of years and saving the seed. And that means the seed gets used to the pests and the diseases and the temperature and the soil conditions around here, and you grow better crops. And you don't have to use as many inputs, and you don't have to use any sort of pesticides or herbicides ideally, and you can use less labor to produce more and more nutritious food. So just briefly, the two big issues with seed now are political and are genealogical. In the past 100 years, 94% of the diversity that we've seen in the seeds that grow our food has been lost forever. That's due to a number of reasons, but basically there's been a rush to market to grow hybridized crops because this is the first time in history where you can put a patent on the genetics behind the seed. So when people have a patent, they have intellectual property and they can profit off the seed. So it started as an impetus for farmers to breed plants and breed better plants for their systems and say, we want to keep doing this, we want to be able to be financially compensated for our work. And what it's turned into now is a mad dash for everybody to put the next new hybrid out. And it's at the expense of seeds that we've saved for thousands of years in some cases, and not for money, for several hundred.
So basically, but that means that the seed that you get, or like the tomato plant that you get from Shaw's or Stop and Shop, that seed is owned by, let's say, Monsanto, and you don't have any rights to it. Like, you can never grow that seed. Like, that is their seed, you know. And the more that they make models where you can't, where other seeds are literally dying out, humans, the general public, will no longer have rights to seeds, certain seeds, and that's really like scary when you think about it, big scale. And I think that in America, we're just starting to understand a little bit about what's happening before our eyes. But in other countries like India, I mean, it's life and death. Like, they don't have rights over the food they grow, and it's punishment in some places to save seeds and to keep seeds that are your seeds. It's crazy. So
Yeah.
let's continue. Sorry.
Yeah, well,
It blows my mind.
No, it does, yeah. So the state that Zoe was touching upon in India is that the farmers were given hybridized crops, rice and cotton, which has been their staple crops growing for many, many years. And they were told, if you use this new seed, then you can use all these inputs and pretty soon put the seed down, and you have a seed that's resistant to these herbicides or something like that, or supposed to grow better. And what happens is that they can't save their own seed, and they're dependent on the company every single year to buy new seed. And the seed was fine. They were paying high rates and higher rates and higher rates for the seed every single year, and then the seed started to fail. So they were indebted to the companies because they had to keep buying the seed, and they didn't have a crop to make the money. So there was an incredible amount of suicides in India of farmers growing because they couldn't continue to grow over the bringing the pesticides. That was that. To touch on the genealogy again, basically, we're setting ourselves up because of the consolidation of seed companies for potential Irish potato food. We don't have diversity to draw from. We can't breed better crops there will come a time pretty soon where that will have to change dramatically. Not just organic, but all foods are going to have to go up. So the effort is to try on a small scale to support the farmers around here who are doing the right thing as far as I can see, simplifying values that are truly sustainable and giving them the seed for free, which is why the restaurant market is so we want to preserve the diversity because we have more resilient crops because of that, we have more adaptable crops because of that, and then the political element of it is basically a food sovereignty perspective where there are those of us who are of the conviction that seed and access to food, to grow our own food, is the same right that we have towards air and water. It's an essential element for our survival, for our sustenance. So with the consolidation of seed companies and the patenting of intellectual properties happening now, we run the risk of not having control of our own food supply, and not just in our purchasing power, but in what is grown and in who can own it and who can grow it. And the ramifications of that are frightening. And there's a lot of reasons to hope too. There are a lot of people doing a lot of great things, but this is basically an initiative to try and keep seed localized, keep it in the hands of people who are doing it responsibly, and keep it in the public domain, and not make it something that others can have control over. Yeah, because right now, 5 companies own 60% of the entire world's seeds. Over half by 5 companies. And 10 companies own, I think, probably 75 or 80. So it's already happening. This is not some apocalyptic scenario we're trying to make but the current reality.
And what's fascinating to me is because I didn't know, like you say, seeds, and I'm like, okay, like I know corn, and then there's sweet corn, but I think in the video, the documentary that we watched at the cable car, there was like over like 2,000 varieties of corn or something like that, and now we're down to 20 something. Like it's gone. Like that is crazy. Like, and it's gone forever. You can never find that again.
Right.
So the amount of different seeds for all these things, and the limit over like the past 50 years, the way that these like single-handedly these 5 corporations have been able to shrink our seed base or diversity down so drastically, it's yeah.
And the implications that come with that too. Now, if you were to eat enough carrots to get the same nutrition, the same beta carotene that our grandparents ate, you'd make yourself sick with carrots. So we've lost the nutritional content of our food. Partially because the seeds are bred now, no matter what, to be resistant to X, to have storability, so it can go on a truck across the country for a week and a half. For uniform harvest, so that farmers can put mechanized implements and harvest all their carrots at the same time. Not for nutrition, not for human health. So the diversity that comes with this produces more nutrient-dense food too. And it also undermines the practices that these hybridized systems are supporting. So hybrids are created for the industrial system that are causing all the problems with nutrition in our soil, our topsoil altogether, pesticides, large water supply, water implications. Destructive agricultural practices are built around these hybridized systems. So part of having the seeds in our hands is to be able to do what Ashley's doing here. Have mosaics of small farms that are able to support people. With a team of 60 different experts worldwide, that not only are mosaics and small-scale agriculture the best way to feed people because you can produce up to 30 times the amount of food more nutritiously and more sustainable on mosaics and small farms. It's the only way. We cannot continue the industrial complex. And the idea that's perpetuated by the big companies is basically we need these models because we have a population that's approaching 9 billion by 2050 and we can't do it without industrialized agriculture. And the contrary is true. And that's what's being suppressed, and that's what my political efforts as much as my love for the soil and my love for people on the earth are trying to simplify. We have to have small-scale agriculture. That's the only way we can have it. That educational component is crucial, and that's why it's so wonderful that all of you are involved in this, because young people are the future, and they need to understand what the future has to offer. They need to have the toolkit to be able to act on it. And if you put a seed in the hands of any kid, myself included, putting that seed in the ground and following the plant for its whole life cycle and having to wind up with your blade is something sacred. It doesn't matter who you are, what your background is, what you want your background is. If you participate in that life process, you change the world. And I think getting people at a young age turned on to that, it's the best thing that we can do because the seed is literally a miracle. We can't live without it, and it's something that wants to grow and wants to provide for us as long as we can do the right conditions. That's my spirit.
I like it. I like it. And that's something that we can look into. We'll break off into groups after we go through this binder. But something to think about, like, what your school is interested in going a little deeper in is, soil nutrition is really something. I learned a fair amount about this year because I thought you just put compost and topsoil together and you get nutritious soil, and that's not always the case. And now I'm consulting with some local organic fertilizers that actually are fish products. Doesn't work with effort. And but it's interesting to test your soil and to see, like, after you plant a plant, like, did it become more acidic, did it pull all the nitrogen, and then that's just as important as anything else. So it's interesting. Science everywhere.
Science.
And then this is Ashley. Ashley is the other wonderful farmer that helps out with this program, and is always available, coming to schools and helping out whenever she possibly can, as well as producing all the vegetables here. So I don't know if you have anything to say, or
I can just give you a story of how I came to here. Lucky enough that I was lucky to go. I got insurance down the road and got to know Jeff and Lisa. Got to know Jeff and Lisa just because they were in the neighborhood, and they had observed me growing over at Eva's, and Jeff was looking to hand on his vegetable operation because he was doing a larger machine here and wanted to focus more on the meat operation. And so I was invited here to Jeff was kind enough to hand off the business that he had developed in the past 5-6 years with markets that he was selling to How on Earth. He was selling at How on Earth with Amazon. And then Brister at the Bake Club. And I'm also selling at the Comic Shop Club. And then I started a small CSA, a 17-member supported agriculture program, so families pay in the winter time, and that helps me pay for seed and other expenses, irrigation expenses, and all sorts of stuff that I need to get going in the time when I don't have income from other markets. And they take off the vegetables that are in there and from June to October, stay with them about half an hour. Families will start filling up, and then I'll pick up whatever is in abundance that week. So this week, for example, I have tomatoes, cantaloupe, hot peppers, onions, garlic, potatoes, lots of potatoes. So yeah, it was a great opportunity for me, as somebody who's been farming for 11 years, to start my own business in a way that's very safe. There's infrastructure here, there's community here, and then so I feel like I've been given a gift, and my long-term goal is to be able to give back in some way, whether that would be, I hope, working with you all in the school systems and getting kids out here and teaching other young people to grow food. That would be my goal, to have a more formal apprenticeship program. And so if you see students who are inclined towards growing and want to kind of learn on the farm, direct them my way. And yeah, so that's all. If you have questions, I'm definitely available. I gave Zoe has my email if you all, and any of you have been growing questions.
Same goes for me too. Ask her the growing questions, but deep questions. Happy to answer. Some more knowledge.
I think Bill actually said it best when I was meeting with him once. I was like kind of freaking out because I'm not a farmer, and here I am trying to like facilitate things growing, and he was like, it's always an experiment. I was like, and I just carry that with me because there are, like, say take Brooks, for example. example, their strawberries and their peas and their lettuce is amazing, but the tomatoes, the little cherry tomatoes, are like kind of splitting, and there's like some other things that, and it's just like, yep. So next year, like, why is that? Oh, it's because they're pulling for more nutrients and they're splitting because they're not getting what they need. So now we can learn from that, and next year, and so it's always an experiment, and some things will go the way you